Welcome to the Germinate podcast, where agriculture, business, and innovation take root and thrive. I'm Joe Sampson, and with nearly 2 decades of experience in agricultural equipment and scaling businesses, I'm here to bring you actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategic advice. Whether you're an industry veteran or just starting out, this podcast is your guide to cultivating ideas, expanding your knowledge, and growing your venture. So let's get started and germinate your path to success. All right, folks, welcome back to the Germinate podcast. Got a real special guest again. I think I always say that. I always have a real special guest, but this time, I guess I'm going to call him more of a, not a guest, but a friend, a brother. Justin Brown, how are you, man?
I'm good, Joe. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. We go way back. We're approaching what? 30 years of friendship, 25 years of friendship, something like that.
It feels like 50, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I want to get started with you is, I guess, first a little bit about your background and who you are. You are the president of Downing Construction. Tell everybody a little bit about Downing Construction.
Yeah, sure. Downing Construction is design build general contracting firm based out of Indianola, Iowa. We are been around since 1966, but really about a 10-year-old company is the way that I like to phrase it. The previous owners did a really nice job of building a really solid foundation of what Downing was and is in the market, but really more of a residential type builder. And then 2006 when I came on, 2008 was shortly thereafter, so residential kind of took a hit, and had two options, and it was either find a new job or do something different. And we kind of shifted into the commercial space, which we'd done a fair amount of, and really went all in on that. And so that's where, it's not exactly a company that's been around since 1966, because it has been a little bit of a journey. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit today. But 2016, I bought into the company, and that was kind of a cool moment for me. But we focus on about 5 vertical markets: commercial, medical, dental clinics. Specifically, we built about 350 dental clinics in the last 12 years, which is a lot. And then multifamily, whether that's apartment projects or senior living projects, and then just kind of industrial commercial. So whether that's a plant for plastics or manufacturing, or just large warehouse spaces for seed storage and things of that nature. So while we don't specifically 100% do ag related things, we
Sure.
definitely play in that market a little bit.
Well, yeah, and that's what I want to talk about. Everyone's probably thinking, Joe, why are you having Justin Brown on from Downing Construction out of Indianola, Iowa? And I'm like, there's one thing, we've known each other obviously a long time. So one of the things that I think about with you is the word strategy and strategic, and, which are thrown around these days. If you're on LinkedIn, you guys know this. Everybody says, I've got a strategy for this, and I'm strategically thinking here. And I talk to a lot of CEOs, a lot of C-suite people, and they're always saying strategy, strategy, strategy. But really, when it boils down, they don't really have one. I mean, they think they do, but they don't. But you just kind of pinpointed it there when talking about Downing, when you were like, we focus on these 5 things. And that's a strategy. And really, any business is just a system designed to kind of provide value for a customer. So what does that word, obviously you came up with that with a strategy for Downing to buy it and then to grow it into what it is today. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, you started there as just what did you start Downing as what
Yeah,
was your title?
I was a residential project manager. I'd never built a house in my life, so
Which is crazy. I mean, you were just a guy that came in and said, I'm a residential project manager. There's probably a million of those out there.
Yeah.
But you had a strategy that said, I want to buy this company someday, right?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I came to Downing is I wanted to work for Dennis, who was the owner.
Okay.
When I met with him, I was at a great company that I really liked working at, and I liked the people. I had a vision there where I was going to be an owner. We talked about it. I was 25 years old, but I had an opportunity to meet with Dennis through my relationship with my current business partner. We went to high school together. We went to college together. And I said, fine, I'll take a coffee. I'm good. And we were supposed to get together for 30 minutes and we talked for 4 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, right. And I was like, what? I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm doing that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
It
and
just felt right.
it felt more than right. And I just knew that this individual was going to put me in a position to really let me grow and just let me kind of break free a little bit. And I had never heard of the term visionary until about 10 years ago, but I'd always been one, but I didn't know it was a thing, right? Which EOS taught me, but Dennis is kind of that way, and I think he saw that in me, and he kind of referred he referred to Joe and I as like I was his shotgun and Joe was his sniper rifle, and it was this concept of like he could send Justin into a room and I would touch and talk to every single person and come back with like 13 or 14, 15 different contacts. And Joe would walk in and find the one person that he wanted to make sure was done. And at the end, he'd have a deal signed. And
Sure.
it was just, two different approaches. And yeah, so this whole strategy piece of like coming to Downing, I came to Downing because I wanted to work for Dennis. And I
Okay.
knew I had the opportunity to do some big things. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew I had the opportunity. Um, but yeah, then the whole vertical market thing that I talked about, I mean, that's straight out of EOS. We've got the three uniques. We've got our core values. I mean, the front page of the VTO. I mean, I live that. It is the vision page. That is my life. That is what I do. I actually just had last week. I had a notice pop up in my phone that I set 10 years ago. A reminder 10 years ago that said 10-year mark. Blow up your VTO, meaning it's time to go away and really rethink and kind of talk about what the next things are. And that was kind of a surreal moment for me because 10 years went by, and that's kind of a big accomplishment.
It
And
goes by in a hurry sometimes too.
oh gosh, for
It
sure.
flies by.
We need another hour to talk about that.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I always, when I talk about Downing to others, and specifically in Iowa, which clearly Justin said we're both based in Iowa, but you found your niche with, specifically like you said, dental clinics. Did that kind of blow you guys up? And what was the strategy behind going, okay, because when you first bought Downing, were they building dental clinics at all?
At that time, yeah, but not to the level. When I talk about 350 or so in the last 12 years, I mean,
That's a huge number, man.
it's a huge number. It really is. And um, that's a portion of our business. That was probably like maybe 25, 30%. The thing that really did it for us was we really just thought about it differently. I mean, I got so tired of people asking me all that, who's your competitors? Who's your competitors? I was like, dude, we are our own competitors. No one does exactly what we do, the way that we do it, why the reason we do it the way we do it. We are our own competitors here. I mean, and we are 92% repeat and referral based business,
Hmm.
right? I mean, it took
Yeah.
a long time to get here, but the point of that is, and that's a goal for us, is to get to 100, which is probably nearly impossible. But we just take care of our business. We take care of our people today, and you take care of the customer, you take care of the client, and you just simplify it for them, make this really complicated process a little bit simpler because I don't know, they might have something they're doing all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, we're just going to build this building. Well, it's not that easy, and um, there's a lot that goes into it beyond just the construction piece. So, really trying to be that kind of one stop shop where we can walk them through that process, just take their mind, put it at ease. And at the end of the day, the byproduct of us doing what we do, we get to hand them a set of keys to their new building, which is one of probably the coolest things they may or may not ever do for their business,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
They may never do that again. That may be the one time in their career
That
that
might
they
be
do
it.
something
Yeah.
like that, right? And if I can leave them with a feeling of, man, that was the best experience I've ever had, they will be my business development team. You know what I mean? Helping
Oh,
me grow my
for
business
sure. For sure.
any
Well,
better I can.
and I want to go back to what you said that kind of stuck with me during your last little bit there. We are our own competitor. I think that can resonate with so many businesses because everybody's trying to chase the guy over there or the guy internationally or China or India or this or that. And they're going, and instead of stopping and saying, wait a second here. We're the ones. Look ourselves in the mirror. What unpack that a little bit. What does "we are our own competitor" mean to you?
Well, I mean, I heard a statement, and I won't get it exactly right, but this was quite a while ago. But it's like for every entrepreneur that's out there, there's another one, forging a bullet in a garage somewhere with your name on it. I mean, like
Yep.
it's just
They're
human
coming.
nature. It's human nature.
It's
I
human
mean,
nature.
so all right, we can sit back and worry about that, and oh my God, what are we going to do to stop everybody else from? Or we just really, kind of perfect the magic sauce, or the secret sauce that is who we are, and we focus on the right people, and we're not going to set a growth number just to set a growth number, like, oh, we need to hit $200 million of revenue. Why? Like, how about we just work for the people that see value in what we do? Let's treat them really, really well. Let's do it well. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to grow because
Yep.
you're focusing on the right things. You're
Yep.
not focusing on just trying to chase a number. Um, and at least that's how it works in my industry, in the service. And I'm kind of more of a service industry. I mean, it's a little different in manufacturing or something to that effect. I'm not sure, but
It's not. It's not. That's the problem, is that it's really not. Like I said before, every business is a system designed to provide a value to a customer. In the end, that's the way you have to think about it. Instead, many chase a number that's out there that says, "Oh, I've got to hit $200 million in revenue." And I'm going to get this wrong too, but I read it somewhere and I can't remember the book, so pardon me. But it said, you set a goal. I want to run a marathon. But really, once most people that run marathons, that's the only one they ever run. And then they go back to that. They train, and then they run a marathon, and then they're done. The reality of it is the goal should be, I want to become a marathon runner. I want to live that life. You know what I mean? So I can keep getting that goal, whatever the number is, whether it's you run 200 marathons or if you don't run any at all, you're still living that life. And it
yeah,
sounds like you have that set in place specifically in Downing with your business, but man, with a lot of things that you got going on with your life. Well, we'll talk about that later, like with your investments, with, strategies that you use to build these blocks in your life and build kind of the map of your life.
yeah. No, those are two. That is saying the same thing two different ways, and they mean different things. But you could kind of perceive it as, yeah, I'm going to run a marathon, or I want to be a marathon runner. It's like, well, that's the same thing, but it's not the same
It's
thing.
not the
It's
same
that's
thing.
a solid analogy there.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. And chasing numbers is very, very dangerous because whether you get them or not, that really shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be putting the system in place to be able to always progress, always build momentum, and always kind of move forward, which,
Yeah.
Downing's doing that. And it sounds like you're putting a lot of that on EOS. And once you found out how to and for those that don't know what EOS means, it's Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I think there's over about 100,000 businesses. I did a little research yesterday. 100,000 businesses. I don't know if this is globally or just in the US that run EOS. You guys have been running it for how long?
Coming on 10 years.
Wow. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
that long. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I got that notification that said time to blow this up. So, and when I say blow it up, I mean it's just time to really take a step back. I mean, I need to go away for for a couple days and lock myself in a room and turn off the phones and the watches and the computers and just really process and think. Um, but yeah, 10 years ago, stumbled upon EOS. I just bought into the business, wrote my first check, and I was like, yes, I should, and I felt like I should be like super excited, and I was, but there was this sentiment of, okay, I'm 34 years old. I'm a business owner. Now what? Like I accomplished something that I thought I would accomplish at 50, right? I didn't know what to do. It's kind of weird. And I was lost a little bit. And I was actually working with I was pretty heavily involved in my community with the Chamber of Commerce. And I was calling on a business called Cementech. They make and manufacture these large pieces of equipment that basically it's a concrete batch plant that they can put on an air runway or something if they got to repair stuff. And global company, really cool. But they weren't a chamber member. And so I was like, I'm going to go meet with them. And, I'm good at sales. I'll get this. So I go out there and I walked in. This company had been around for a long, long time and kind of had this perception of, maybe kind of a old school kind of company. And I walked in the front door. It's an older building, but I was like, it doesn't feel old in here. It doesn't feel old school. Like they had a really cool thing on the wall and it had like everybody's signatures and it was their core values. And I was like, well, that's kind of neat. So I get to meet with the CFO and he's a young kid and he's talking to me and everything he's talking about. And, we turned over a bunch of people and we got some new processes and I'm like, interesting. And so tell me about this. And he turned around and he grabbed a book, like you can see on my back shelf, and he flopped it in front of me. And he said, well, Connor Deering's our CEO. He came from Chicago. This is what we run our business off of. And at the time I wasn't much of a reader and I was like, oh, interesting. And I took a picture of it and I went home, bought the book, and I just read it, like the whole thing. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It was kind of like almost euphoric, and I walked into Joe's office the next morning. And at this point, we just literally bought like the tiniest share you could ever buy for the most money we'd ever thought we'd spend.
Right.
And, and I'm like, read this. And and he's like, he's busy and he's stressed out. I'm like, and I'm just standing there and he's like, now? And I said, now, like, read it, like right now, read this intro, and he starts reading it. And I went back to my office. He comes in about 15 minutes later and he says, holy shit, man, this is us. And I said,
Really?
yeah, I know. And he's like, that is 100% you. And that is 100% me. And I said, I know, man. And I said, this is it. And so I went to my boss, the guy who I, wanted to work for and who I was buying the business from. And I said, hey, I'm taking over. And he said, great. And I said, perfect. And from there on, I self-implemented. Not many people do that. But I also knew my business partners and they didn't want to spend any money. And so I was like, I'll do it. And it was that important. And so I prepped and I got ready and I self-implemented and it took us about a year to get kind of everything pulled together. And then away we went and haven't looked back.
And just for context, Joe Butler and yourself, you guys are similar age. I think did you graduate
Yeah.
together? Yeah.
No, he's 2 years younger.
He's
in
2
school.
years younger. Okay.
Yep.
So two 30-something-year-old dudes
Yeah.
jumping all in to buying a business, have no idea, never even thought about owning, maybe thought about owning a business, but never even really thought it would come true. You buy into a business and you're going, shit, man, what are we going to do now? We have no idea how to do this. You find this book called Traction. It changes your life in a strange way. And now, however many years later, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. We kicked off Traction. Things were going pretty well. We bought down our next opportunity. It was about year 2. It was a 10-year program that we were a part of. It was a method to do it without taking on any debt, which we really liked.
Yeah.
But then it got to year 2 and we were like, oh man, we're just maybe not getting some of the same support that we thought we would get, which is pretty normal during kind of buyout processes. And so I approached, and I called a meeting, but before I could even ask the question, I slid a piece of paper across to me and he said, you need to buy me out. And he had the financing all teed up for us. And so we jumped off and did that and bought the business outright at the end of year 2. So now we're 36 and 34 and we own this business fully and we have a bunch of debt, and we made a very consistent decision. We said, we're going to pay off all our debt. Like, we're not going to pay ourselves these big bonuses or anything like that. We're paying down debt. So this is 2018, what's coming.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, yeah, we bought a business. We're so smart. Oh my God, what do we do?
Oh man.
So yeah, but I mean, the discipline to, pay down the debt, the discipline to stick to Traction and really focus on what matters and what we need to be doing versus running around like the sky is falling. What are we going to do? It got us through, one of the biggest challenges a lot of business owners have ever had to face.
Yeah. And what is it about EOS? Let me give you my high level. In my previous employer, we ran EOS as well. So I have about 3 years under my belt of EOS. But I think of the word strategy when I think of EOS, because really that's what it is. You want to focus on the right thing to focus on, because if you're going to yourself, well, Downey Construction's gonna start, making Dorito factories. That's fine and good, but that might not be the right strategy for Downey.
Sure.
Um, so it's all about a strategy and finding what it is that the direction you guys want to go. And that is the VTO. That is the vision of the company. The vision of the company is this thing. And then what does it take for everybody inside the walls of Downing to be aligned with that vision? Am I right so far?
You're very right.
Okay. And then through that traction to be aligned on the vision is there's these steps, and that's where EOS gets maybe a little bit messy for some companies, is the steps to align themselves with the traction. The vision's still there. I think that's the most important part of any company right now
Yeah.
is, do the leaders, the leadership team, specifically the owner, the visionary, is that vision being presented in a clear way to every employee that they have? And if that's the case, boy, you're really humming on all cylinders. And then how do you get them to align to that? That's where it maybe gets a little bit messy. And that's where we talk about rocks and
Yep.
L10 meetings and issues and scorecards and all,
Right.
all the things, all the EOS terms. So,
Right.
right. I'm,
You're doing great, by the
I'm
way.
doing good. I'm doing good so far. Good. I mean, yeah, obviously, when it becomes part of your ecosystem, you learn a lot about this. But give me kind of the top things about EOS that you think are important for businesses to understand, and why you utilize it at Downing.
Yeah. To me, the thing that was probably the most impactful statement throughout the whole book is this concept of the 90-day world, um, and that humans in general have this kind of auto reset about every 90 days. And it's kind of in the people chapter, but think about I think about New Year's resolutions, right? January, you're crushing it. You're down 10 pounds. You've lifted every day. Like, your life is pretty special. And then, like, February comes along, you got to think you get maybe a Valentine's dinner and kind of let loose a little bit. And then you get to spring break, and you come out of spring break and you're just like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. And you kind of settle back into your old ways, right? What's about 90 days? And this, what he talks about is this whole concept of, it's pretty much human nature that without a reset, without a consistent, hey, remember, this is why we do what we do. This is how we do what we do. This is the importance of it. And we've committed to this, so let's stick to it, and really almost call it like an accountability buddy that says, hey,
Hmm.
we're gonna stick to this. You don't do that every 90 days or so, human nature will cause us to fall back into our own ways. And so that was one of the biggest things for me, is because I was like, that is so obvious. And so that's where you talk about rocks, they're 90-day concepts, these things. Every quarter you're getting together and you're having leadership meetings, and we've had a leadership meeting every quarter for 10 years. So we've had 40 leadership meetings where we get away off campus for a day. We talk about the things that that really matter. We review the VTO. Are we on the right track? What are the actual challenges that we have? What's the noise? Separate it.
Yep.
Um, all those sorts of things. And before that, we did that once a year, and we'd come back the following year, and the 16 items that were on the list were still on the list, and there's just now 2 more. Like, we never solved anything. We just got together for a day and complained.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is stupid.
right.
So I enjoy our time together, but we could be doing better. So that's the 90-day world concept, and this concept of focusing on what's important every 90 days. And if you can set up a system where you got 50 employees and everybody has maybe one thing that they're trying to improve or solve over 90 days, you do that 50 times in the first quarter, 50 times in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You've now solved 200 items in a year. And to look ahead and say, if a year from now we solved 200 things that were maybe hampering our business, would we be better for that? The answer is obviously yes. And every owner, every boss, every leader would say we have to do that. And so that's what EOS did for us. And I mean, within 3 years, I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, this is
Right.
where we are
Like
here.
it's working too. Obviously, you're getting benefit out of the deal. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we doubled in revenue. 2 years later, we doubled in revenue again. I'm just like, what is happening? And it wasn't because I'm so smart and I sat out there and was like, we're going to go get this business and I've got this relation. No, we just focused in on some stuff that we were really, really good at, and we delivered it better than anybody else could deliver it.
Well, and it
Uh,
goes back to that concept that you said before. We are our own competitor. Let's start with us. Let's
yeah.
start in our own playground here.
Yep.
And that's exactly what EOS did for you, just to build that, we keep saying it, but build that traction.
Yep.
Um, like all things, EOS has its downsides as well.
Oh yeah.
So I want you to tell the audience, tell me what you think the downsides of EOS are. And maybe before I go into that, let me tell you about what I think. uh, it becomes a little bit rigid, meaning a lot of EOS companies, when they first start, they have the same thing that happened with Downing 2, 3 years in, very successful. Things are great. Now, that could be a product of a lot of things. It could be EOS. Heck, it could be the market at that point in time. You never know. Sometimes
Sure.
you catch things at the right time. Uh, it could be a lot of other things. But you get really you buy into this concept, and then you learn to you live by it. It's like it becomes part of your, like you said when you and Joe first read the book, it's like, this is us, man. This is awesome. We've got to go all in on this. But then you live by it and you forget that life is bumpy and things do happen, and sometimes you lose a big customer or a big problem happens and it's not on your scorecard, it's not a metric, and it's not a rock, and you're like, wait a minute, we gotta pivot and focus on this. um, that's sort of my mentality with EOS, is sometimes we get a little too rigid on it and forget that business needs to be flexible as well. But what's your thoughts there?
200% agree with you.
Okay, all
Um,
right.
yeah, no, exactly. My biggest challenge or complaint is that uh, like when we started, there's this whole you rate yourself based off of this 20 question questionnaire, and we thought we were really good business. We were like a 42 out of 100, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? And then
Like
and they
in
talk.
school, that's not very good. Yeah,
No, in business, that's not very
it's
good
not
either.
good. Yeah, exactly.
uh, and I was like, oh, but these are the questions that they ask. So who knows, is their system right or not? But um, within 3 years, we were more like 86. So I mean, like we were where we need to be, and they ultimately say, anything over 80 is just incredible. Live there, love it. And through that, we did a ton of IDS: identify, discuss, solve. Identify, discuss, solve, over and over and over again through our L10 meetings and all these different quarterly meetings. We fixed a lot of the things that gave us the ranking of 42 to get us to the ranking of 86, which is great. And so you're growing and all these things are happening, and so, but it's rocky. And there's a term called whitewater from a different book that it's like you feel like you're on a raft and you're just like, wow, there's just so much going on, we need to be better. And so you implement these processes, right? As you're implementing these processes, then all of a sudden you start going, yeah, this is great, and everything's moving in a really good spot. And then everything's good. You're like, this is great, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
But then you get to this point where you're like, well, what can we get incrementally better? We should implement another process. We got this issue over here, let's implement a process.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it's like there's a process for making coffee, and you're like,
Right.
what just happened? Well, we tractionized the coffee pot process, like, and it's, again, total human nature. It worked before, we should just do more process. Well, there comes a point where it's not the process. And a lot of this comes from, there's a book called Predictable Success by Les McEwen. And for me, that's the sequel ish to Traction, to EOS. It is, yeah, you've made it, but then you can go too far to where now the process is actually running the people versus the people implementing the processes. And that's called treadmill, according to Les McEwen. But it's and so that's probably one of the biggest things I have is things are going really well, but the format of the L10 meeting and the IDS is that you are conditioned now to find issues.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, so things are going really well, and our processes are defined, and we're doing what we need to do. And next thing you know, you're like, if there's an issue at this pen, I don't like this pen. And you start talking about the pen, when in reality we should be focused on what are we doing really well to help support our clients, right, and our customers and our people.
Yeah.
And we needed time to figure out what the issues were. The pen has never been the issue, but you try to find something because that's what you've been conditioned to do. And if you're not uh, coming up with issues, you're unengaged in the meeting. Well,
Yeah.
now you're not unengaged. You're actually highly engaged in what matters to our business, and you're doing a really good job of it. And we should like support each other for that, right? Not continue to try to find tiny little issues that we spend 20 to 40 to 50, 60 hours on that at the end of the day saved us 3 minutes per year. We just spent 40 hours to get 3 minutes back. Like,
Right.
what are we doing?
The pin that you're talking about in your example is not going to generate revenue for Downing Construction. And that's sort of what's lost.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction. It becomes, and that's what's that problem with issues sometimes is they become, this is your phrase, but I'm going to borrow it from you. You told me this a couple of months ago, but sometimes issues are just Tuesday afternoons. That's all it is, folks. It's these things happen. You deal with it. I've empowered you to deal with it. You're good. I trust you. I believe in you, and just deal with it. We don't need to talk about the pin in the L10 meeting. There's no point. Let it go. It's a Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's
It's a
just Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
You know, tomorrow is Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yep.
You know,
It's going to come. It's going to come.
Yeah.
And I've kind of coined this phrase. I probably borrowed it because I don't have, I mean, I don't know. I read a lot. You and I both read a lot.
Yeah.
But it's this thing I've called RGAs, or revenue generating activities. Once again, all businesses provide concepts that have a value that people buy. Revenue generating activities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the problems with EOS is some of the rocks that we had were, I'll give an example. This isn't an actual rock that we had at my previous employer, but these are rocks that I think a lot of people have. We are going to implement a new ERP system next quarter. And it's like, okay, that's probably a good thing. That if you implement an ERP system in your business, you're probably going to save some money and be more efficient, and it's a revenue generating activity for sure. But step back a little bit. Why do we need an ERP system? What's wrong now with our current system that's causing us to be delayed, to be missed deadlines, to be inefficient? And that's really what we should be talking about. That's all about writing a smart rock, which is a big EOS term, but rocks also become these things that, even the person that wrote the rock doesn't even know what the heck it means. You know what I mean?
It's in the beginning that was one of the hardest things was writing rocks because I mean they were massive. It was like I wanted to solve it all at once. I wanted to eat that elephant in one bite, and it's like you can't do it. So breaking them down into simple, achievable, kind of like SMART goals, right? SMART rocks. This concept of how do you do that? So rock creation is a challenge, and it takes time and it takes practice to get there. And you're gonna not complete some rocks and go, no, was that because I wasn't good, or was it just a rock unattainable? Well, it's actually just unattainable. So,
or some folks too would just create a rock that they've already got 80% done, but they want to get the checklist. They want to look good in front of the leadership team. And you're like, well, yeah, but that's not an RGA. That's not a revenue generating activity, which that's what businesses are made for. That's what Downing's do. The only reason you're sitting there today is because at some point in time, people are paying you to do a service. And like you said before, the customer experience with Downing is second to none. And those are hard things to measure, but that is something that I know, have pride in. I know Joe Butler has pride in. It's everything to your business, and everybody that you talk to about Downing in Iowa and maybe throughout the U.S., if you ask them, they're going to say, man, they're just good people to work with. They provide an excellent experience for me. It was so easy to work with them. And to your point, this is a huge decision for people to make. And when they get that key from you, they're just like, they're super excited, but they're also like, oh shit, now I got to run a business. You know what I mean? Now I got to make this thing go. And you play a huge role in that to these people.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So anyway, man, we're going here. This is going to be one of my longer podcasts, by the way. Congrats. You win.
Hey.
I do want to talk a little bit about, before we go though, is some of the secondary things. Downing's not your entire life. You're also an entrepreneur. Yeah. you're investing in you've chose to invest in VRBOs. You've
Yep.
got what, 6 different properties now?
What, three that we use through VRBO? Yeah.
3. Okay, 3 that you use in VRBO. Uh, Real quick, talk about why that was an investment strategy for you and advice you could provide for others.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, I can't take the credit for that and say that I was sitting back in a room and going, what we need to do, plotting to take over the world. It was a lot of the things that have come my way in life, and the strategy and the vision and those sorts of things, is literally by just paying attention, um, and to the people around you and what their skill sets are and what you can do. I'm blessed. My wife is, like, she loves planning things for people and travel, and I mean, she helps plan people's travel that she's not even going on the trip. She's like, and she'll book their flights. I'm like, what are you doing? And just because she loves it, right? And she had a big sacrifice in the sense that she stepped away from her teaching job to raise our kids, while I was doing what I was doing, and just everything that it takes to take 3 kids and get them to where they need to go. And when I'm trying to grow a business and it's like, hey, honey, I can't leave right now, and I don't know if I'll be home until 7, and those sorts of things. So I mean, that was a big thing, and so she stepped away. We got into the business. We got to a point where we were doing pretty decent, and we just talked about it. We thought, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to have a spot someday, and we could have rent it out, and then she said, hey, I found one, like, literally. And I was like, what? It was just a statement. What are you talking about?
Right. We were
And
just talking. We're having a few drinks. This isn't real.
What? You
Yeah.
want to do what now? So we did that, and I basically was like, well, you know what? The kids are in school. You have more time on your hands. This could be a second career. And she gravitated towards it, and she's done a phenomenal job with it. She's just a service person. She wants to, make sure people have a wonderful experience. And so, but in that field, right? And so that led to that opportunity, and next thing you know, I'm like, we're not, making a ton of money, but we're getting the interest paid, we're getting the association dues paid, and I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. And so, real estate is a big part of what I do, so it just started to make some sense, and that led to the next opportunity and the next opportunity, and you know, but through that, it was really just an idea of for us with my business and what I do. It's kind of like an adjacency of something that aligns with real estate. It aligns with construction, development, the different things that I do on a day-to-day basis. But she gets to kind of control that piece, and so that's what led us into that arena. Uh, we can invest our money anywhere, right? I mean, I could take that money, I could put it in the market. I could stick stuff in 401ks and 529s and all the things, but um, we also love to travel. And
Yeah.
so it became a thing where it was like, well, gosh, why don't we find some spots where we want to go, and let's utilize this system to help pay for some things that in the future, maybe this is an opportunity for our kids. And so we created Brown Family Properties, and um, it's a thing that we're building to try to create a system of houses and vacation properties that are, hopefully will be paid for by the time our kids get to that point, and they can then decide what they want to do with it.
Well, I'm glad you made the connection too of it kind of aligns with what you're doing. And it's all to still, it's all about I've got a strategy. Jenna and Justin have a strategy and we're going to go for it. We're going to see how it works out, and it's working out. And I think it's great. And heck, we just came back. That's why there's a glow on both or my forehead, not yours, but there's a glow on mine. We just came back from spring break with our families at one of your properties in St. Martin in the Caribbean. And it was a magical week, man. I mean, I think part of it is because you and I and our families are like families, but also, I mean, hell, you're in the Caribbean. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's a
Yeah.
place that a lot of people should check out. And I'll post all your VRBOs or Airbnbs in the show notes. So
Oh,
hopefully we can
awesome.
get some love out
Thanks.
of that. But Yeah, man, I just love what you're doing. I love how you live life with a lot of I'm ripping this off another guy, but you live life with intention and you live life with a strategy, but you also know what it's like to unwind and be a friend. And I swear, every time I call you, you answer because
Yeah.
I've been going through the last couple of months. I'm going through a lot, and you're a huge advocate and mentor to me. So I can't thank you. Bottom of my heart, I can't thank you.
Yeah, well, Joe, you're welcome. You know this about me, but I mean I measure my success not by my, you know, bank account or properties that I own or whatever. It's basically by the success of the people that I get the opportunity to interact with on a day to day basis. If they're successful, if they can go home and feel that they, you know, are living a good life, they're providing for their family, they're enjoying their hobbies, and I had a part in that, I win. When I die and I'm on my deathbed and I look at my maker and I'm like, did I live a good life? There's no question. I feel like I will have done that and done what I was supposed to do by being here. So um, I I really genuinely just care about people and I want them to be successful. And if I can offer something to them, whether it's like what you and I've been doing and talking a little bit, or if I can connect them with someone and put them in a position to find a new opportunity, if I can just give them some advice if they're struggling on something, I don't. That's not an RGA for me, by the way,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it fills my bucket. And when I'm happy and I'm doing things the right way, I tend to just find opportunities around me because you're taking care of people. At the end of the day, everything we do is a people business. I don't care what you do; it's a people business. And the byproduct is that I build buildings. The byproduct of somebody else is that they manufacture parts, but the people do it. And yeah, I know there's AI and all that, whatever. It's still a people business. And we have to treat people well. We have to treat people in a way to help them be successful. And when we do that, good things typically happen.
And it's also the ultimate reward. You know, the amount of relationships that we have in the end is really, like you said, man, that's all that matters. Our money is going to go away, our clout's going to go away, but the relationships that we form and the friendships that we make, they're everlasting, man. They last forever. And you're definitely one of those friends to me, and I'm grateful to be one, man. I love you with all my heart. I love your family. I'm uh, I'm honored you joined the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any parting words for you?
uh,
Now's your moment.
oh, now's my moment. Um, man, if I could go back and like tell myself something, it would probably be, and I wrote this down because I was thinking about just in the last couple weeks, but don't drink so much when you're young.
Yeah.
Go to bed earlier, work out more, and just pay attention to the opportunities. They are around you. When you're sitting at a coffee shop, there's an opportunity in that coffee shop. You just got to pay attention.
Yeah. That's
You just got to pay attention. I was at a coffee shop yesterday, had my earbuds in, was doing my computer thing, and I looked over and there's a gentleman that I haven't seen for like 4 years. I was in my workout gear. I was not in a business setting at all. You know, he's all dressed in a suit, and I could have just been focused, right, and not paying attention. He ended up sitting directly across like 3 feet from me, and I'm like, screw it. So I get up and I walk over in my flip flops and I'm like, "How are you? I haven't seen you forever." And he hasn't seen me since I've had a beard. He's like, "Who is this guy?"
right.
Right? And I'm like, "Hey, good to see you." And we reconnected. And he's like, "You know, I started a new thing." And I said, "Oh, you did? What's that?" And he started telling me. And he's like, "We should get together." I'm like, "Yeah, we should do that." Boom.
There
Right?
you go. There you go.
That's it.
Yep.
That was it.
Open
And
up the ears, people.
pay
Open up the ears.
attention.
Yep. Pay
Your
attention.
computer is important. Your phone is important. I love music better than anybody else, but there opportunity is abundant. And if you're a 25-year-old person and you're trying to go, I don't know what I need to do, get off your damn phone.
Yeah. Get off
Start
your phone and
talking to
listen.
people.
It's
Start talking to people. Communicate with people. Network. I don't know if 25-year-olds drink anymore. I think that was maybe more our era. I think they just drink water and eat well, but I could be wrong.
who knows?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but that's it, man. Like, just let's just focus on live your life because it's happening around you all the time. And it's, oh, why didn't I get that opportunity? It's because you weren't paying attention.
Amen.
So,
For that note, Justin Brown, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun, Joe.
Awesome. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the Germinate podcast. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others in the industry. And join me next time as we continue to explore the innovations and strategies shaping the future of agriculture and business. Until then, keep growing, keep innovating, and keep germinating your success.